What do you think of this?
Is that the logo?
Yeah,
That's the logo.
This is Scoop
It's a
City.
square, but we put it on a shirt.
Do you spot us?
All right, so is there
Like you can miss us.
Hello, welcome into Scoop City. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the NFL.
Chase, we are so lucky. We have a billboard in the middle of Times Square right now that just says Scoop City. How cool is that?
I mean, it's amazing. It really is. Like, I never thought a day that I would be on a billboard in Times Square. And actually, when I first heard that we were going to be on a billboard in Times Square and Amazon was helping us out, I just thought it'd be like a plastered picture of like me and you and Scoop City logo. This is like one of those billboards that scrolls. So it kept scrolling like every 10 seconds. There's like 3 different pictures. So it's really cool to see. I've been asking you for a picture of it. I had to go on your social media to get it. I know you're busy. You're Miss Queen Insider. I get it. But it is really cool and just speaks to how cool it is for you too, because this isn't normal. People get to see our faces and hopefully subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's going to be up for like the next week. I actually sent the video that you posted to my parents, and my parents just responded, "That's cool." I'm like, "That's all I get?" It's kind of a big deal. This is my city, you know? Like, this is my city, Times Square. But look, the best part of this entire experience has been the time that we have shared together covering some of these great teams over the last few weeks. And last week we had the opportunity to visit Denver, Colorado. We were there for 48 hours, and you were able to get access that no one else is able to get, which is Sean Payton allowed you, his former player, to sit in on the team meeting. So I want to talk to you all about that, all the hype around Bo Nix, and Sean Payton is going to join Scoop City to really take us into the process of why Bo Nix is the guy. We expect him to be the starter. We expect him to be named the starter over the next few days. We expect him to be the starting quarterback in the opener against the Seattle Seahawks. So let's get to it. Here's what both me and Chase are hearing around the league. So we're recording this early in the week, but we fully expect the Denver Broncos to name rookie quarterback Bo Nix the starting quarterback after just really a superstar training camp that he had. But before we dive into Bo, you had access that I have never had, and I don't think anyone will ever be granted unless you play in the NFL. You were able to go to the Denver Broncos team meeting the night before they practiced with the Green Bay Packers. Can you take me inside that meeting? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. And for people that don't know and have lived on a rock, I got to play with Sean as a head coach for 5 years, right? All with New Orleans. And it was so cool to be able to see him in a different light, a different team. Obviously, he's had this job going on 2 years now. But when I went into the meeting room, the first thing that I saw that really stood out to me is that it's literally New Orleans West in that meeting room, like Northwest, whatever you want to call it, because he has so many old Saints coaches, Johnny Morton, Joe Lombardi, Pete Carmichael, Zach Strief, Chris Banjo was like assistant special teams coach, Mike Westhoff. I mean, it was unbelievable. Then you go to the string staff, it's like Dan Dalrymple, and then you go to the head guy in charge of all the extracurricular string stuff. It's Bo Lowry, who was in New Orleans. So it was like a family reunion. And then when Sean starts talking, well, first of all, let me just rewind, because I go in and they're playing like music, they're getting people hype. It's like a vibe in there. And I just really missed playing at that moment. Like, I had never really, since I retired officially, 18 months ago, whatever, I never really missed per se, like, playing, because I didn't love training camp. I liked practice and I liked the locker room, but when I walked into the locker room and the team meeting, it was really cool. Got chills and just like brought back a ton of memories, because those guys specifically, we won a Super Bowl with. And so, the guy I saw, the coach I saw was Joe Vitt. He's a defensive coach. And Joe Vitt, I remember vividly, in New Orleans, he was Sean Payton's night before game. Sean Payton would give him the stage to talk to a team before the game. And he was amazing. The most F-bombs you've ever heard in your entire life. But I remember seeing him on Thursday night, just him giving me a big bear hug. And I always remember him talking about it after we won the Super Bowl in 2009 as a rookie. He said, men, if we win this and when we win this, we will walk together forever. And I'll always remember that because it's so true. We did something so special in New Orleans. And so to see that, that was really cool for me. Now, as to Sean Payton's point, he is such a dynamic speaker, Diana. I'm not going to get into everything he said because I want to respect the boundaries a little bit. But what he did was he has such a way of motivating players, specifically like offensive players. And it's so hard to imagine if you had camera access into these meeting rooms, you guys would be blown away. And I'm trying to set the scene without giving too much information, just the way he talks, the swagger, the confidence. And it's just so hard not to believe him. If he's like, we're going to win 50-0, you're like, yeah, we are. Like, it's just the way he talks. He's not like a big rah-rah. It's just like, yeah, like we're going to do this. And there's always a skit. There's always something involved in his team meeting. So he's not just standing up there, going over plays and boring you to death. There's something out there that he did that I'll always remember. And I've seen the skit before, so it was cool to see the skit again in front of a new crowd, in front of a new team. So it was really special when I got to go down there.
Yeah, I did a piece on him once when I was at ESPN, all his different motivational tactics. The time and the detail that he puts into these team meetings and finding ways to just really get everyone on the same page. He describes this Denver team as young and hungry, right? So this is a very different team than what you're referencing when you were on the Saints, right? Everything is completely different. Yes, there's familiar faces, but you're talking about a rookie quarterback that is going to start the season against the Seattle Seahawks. Sean has never coached a starting quarterback that's a rookie, right?
We asked him about it too. Yeah.
And he talks all about that. But in terms of what you saw from Bo Nix, we've heard, and you're going to hear what Sean Payton had to say about Bo. What were some of the observations you made? Because let's remember, this is the highest pick Denver used on a quarterback since Jay Cutler back in 2006.
Cuddy.
And when you go back to the draft and you think about all the reports that were out there, I go back to even my own reporting. While there were some whispers that Payton was all in on Bo Nix, there was still a thought that there was another quarterback that he was potentially trying to move up for. But the Bo Nix love really didn't get out. He kept that in-house. So he gave us his reasons as to why he likes Bo Nix. What do you think Sean is seeing that's making him so convicted he's the guy?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a style of play. It reminds me exactly of how Drew Brees played and how he operated the offense. And so I'm not saying that Bo Nix is going to be like Drew Brees and set all these records and be a future Hall of Famer, but it does remind me how fast and how efficient he gets in and out of the huddle, how quickly he's able to get through progressions and go from receiver 1 to receiver 2 to receiver 3. And after the team meeting done, I was actually able to go into the quarterback meeting room with Davis Webb, who I'm saying it right now, and we should report, he will be a head coach in like 3 years. Like,
you're really taking this insider gig seriously today. You're like, we should report right now he's going to be a head coach.
It is unreal.
So Davis Webb was a backup quarterback for the New York Giants. Sean Payton hired him as the quarterback's coach. And since he's become the coach, he's actually even gotten some interest from the league about continuing to play. But he's turned that down because he's really enjoyed being part of this coaching staff. And Payton spoke to us a lot about what Davis Webb has brought to the quarterback room, his experience and his ability to teach and communicate. But, you talk about this 24-year-old Bo Nix who, based on what we were seeing, was showing just no panic in the pocket. He seemed so calm. He wasn't taking any sacks. It was essentially everything that Sean Payton needs to see. Check, 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 check. We saw with our own eyes. What did you see in that quarterback room from Bo?
Yeah, I mean, look, the quarterback room, first of all, like let's talk. We're going to talk about Bo, but the quarterback room is actually a really fun place to be in. It was Joe Lombardi, it was Pete Carmichael, it was Zach Wilson, it was Jared Stidham, it was Davis Webb, and it was Bo Nix in the front left of the like big table. They meet in the offensive staff room, and he doesn't say a lot. because, Stiddy and Zach Wilson are there because they're the vets in the room. They're talking. But it's so funny the way Davis Webb interacts with the whole group. He mostly singles out Bo and is like, Bo, what's this formation? Bo, what's this? Bo, and every single time, I'm telling you right away, he was able to give him the correct answer. And I know this offense, and it really hadn't changed. They were installing that day's offense, or the next day's offense versus the Green Bay Packers defense. And so when I talked to him and when I witnessed our like, this dude will be the guy. And quite honestly, I don't think I did. My thought when I was in there was like, I didn't do a good enough job for my breakdowns, really reiterating the point of how good of a player he is. And, Sean talks about, hey, a lot of this offense at Oregon was dink and dunks. 30% of his throws were underneath or at the line of scrimmage. They took all those out, and he ranked like number one in almost every major category. The biggest thing being at practice, on the ground, boots on the ground, what we saw was he did not waste time in the pocket. He got the ball out. He understood when to get to his check down. He was able to move and maneuver the pocket like a young Drew Brees. And the biggest thing, Dianna, which Sean Payton hates more than anything else, he does not throw interceptions. He does not throw interceptions. It's a throwaway. If he needs to take a sack, that's fine. He'll take a sack. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. For a 24-year-old rookie to understand that, he only threw 3 interceptions his last year at Oregon. For a rookie quarterback to understand that is why he will be the named starter.
One of my favorite things that I've ever experienced as an NFL reporter was actually standing next to you. We were watching the Broncos offense go up against the ones for the Green Bay Packers, and you were just calling out the plays and explaining every single decision and why they were doing what they were doing. Yeah. And it was like sitting in, it was almost like you were the play caller. It was almost like you were Joe Lombardi. And I got to listen in on that. And I actually recorded some of it, and I was watching it back on the flight home. It was such a great way to watch the offense because you truly could see what they were trying to accomplish when you had the play call. And then, of course, you were breaking it down. And what I thought was really interesting, too, because you've always said this to me, that Sean Payton's play call can be really complicated because they're long and they can be a little confusing, and you better be sharp and you better be able to retain. And it appears that Bo Nix has no issue with Joe Lombardi's play calling because he's the one calling the plays right now. But Sean's going to take over, and Sean's going to be doing that.
Sean is panicky on the mic.
What do you mean? Like, give me an example. Like, what is Sean Payton like? Do an impression.
It's not like that. It's like Joe Lombardi's very cool. Like, they have a little remote at practice, right? And Joe Lombardi's calling it. And we're talking about this because Bo Nix has yet to experience a Sean Payton game called in his helmet with the mic or whatever. And Joe Lombardi is like, all right, Chase, let's go. Trips right, 3-jet, all go special. Give me a yellow cadence. All right, cool, we're good. And it's like that. Like, that's Joe Lombardi. Yeah. Sean Payton's like, oh, okay, let's what hashes are okay. Give me. Oh, do we want 12? No, 12. No, big 20. No, 11 personnel. Okay, 11. Gun trips right, 3-jet, all go special. And Bo's probably gonna be like, huh? Like, no, gun trips right, 3-jet, all. No, you Bo, you're getting a delay again. Like, he is very. And I'm not saying he's like that always.
I would think he was the opposite because A, he's a perfectionist, but B, he's been doing this so long. Like, what is he panicking over?
I'm like, it's not like that all the time, but there's a distinct difference in the way Joe Lombardi calls plays and the way Sean Payton is going to call plays. So that's a great point by you. And Bo has yet to get there, so he is going to have to understand. And it's a relationship between a play caller and a quarterback that's going to take time. They're not going to be perfect. They're going to get some delay of games. You just got to live with it.
Yeah. So the Denver Broncos didn't give us Bo Nix to interview because they just want to keep things just quiet right now. Just have him focus, locked in on the football side, no distractions. But Bo was nice enough to talk to me on the field just about what this process has been like for him. And going from playing college, and look, we know that he started a significant amount of games in college, and he has the most experience of any rookie quarterback that we're going to see.
61 starts.
61 starts. That's a lot of football experience. And that's something that Sean Payton loves, is the fact that he's been out there. He's been through it. He's done it. But I asked him about the play calling specifically, and he said that the teaching of what Sean wants to do has been really impressive, and he doesn't feel like it's too much. He said they've really taken it down a notch in terms of slowing the process down for him so he can understand it.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I mentioned to him, I know Sean is hard on quarterbacks. The standard he holds is very high. Do you feel that he's holding you to too high of a standard at this point? And he was like, no, not at all. If anything, I feel like he's in this with me. So I ask you, is Sean Payton really hard on quarterbacks? Do you see that? Could you see this being a problem if he pushes too much because he wants this to work so badly?
I don't think it'll be a problem. I do think that Sean expects greatness out of quarterbacks. I mean, he always had is greatness at quarterbacks. And look, the run he had with Drew Brees was special, but he pushed Drew Brees unlike anything I've ever seen in my entire life. He's going to do that to Bo, but I think Sean is being very aware that he is a rookie. He's not just any rookie. He's a 24-year-old rookie with a lot of experience. So all this experience plays into it, but there will be a time when Sean's going to get after him. And it's like, how are you going to respond to Sean getting after you when in reality, it's not even an interception. It's like, you called the wrong motion like that. You know, he's going to do that. He's a different guy on game day, and that's what makes Sean special. It's going to be interesting to see how Bo reacts to that, though.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sure you guys can hear us. We're so pumped up about this because it was just so fun to be around them and see it.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to hear coach speak, and it's another to actually talk to the coach and hear what it is he's observing from the quarterback. So when we come back, let's just get to it. Let's hear Sean Payton.
What do you think of this?
Is that the
Yeah.
logo?
Yeah, this
That's
is
a logo.
This is Scoop
It's a
City.
square, but we put it on a shirt.
Do you spot us?
All right, so is there, I do, is there,
Like you can miss us.
no, but is there, like, all right, if, what was
Every team is represented.
What was the city, though, that maybe, is there a city that you
That we thought of when we
is
did
it
this?
New York?
No.
Is it Chicago?
No,
or
I
is it,
think it's just
Got it.
it's an
Scoop's
NFL
everywhere.
city.
It's
your
Scoop.
city.
It's my city.
Well, and here it is for when I was your holder for 3 years, right?
Listen,
in New Orleans.
Our snapper, holder, and kicker at one point were all from South Lake Carroll High School.
Hey,
It's never happened in the NFL.
parents still live
incredible.
there.
And I used to live there. I watched him play high school football. My daughter was a 7-year-old cheerleader, and they would have one varsity game a year they got to cheer. I lived a mile from the stadium, and so I've seen him play high school. I saw him play 4 games. Todd Dodge was his coach, and I'm there for the halftime where the 7-year-olds come out. You know? And so I'm seeing him play before he went to Missouri, and and think about full circle. It's
Just
crazy.
how it all comes together.
09, I've never told you this story, and you probably forgot. But in 09, I went to Jim Zorn and the Washington football team at the time. And so that I was undrafted out of there.
I know the story.
But it's
He's undrafted, and he's
Let's see it.
and the
Trust me,
final
we all know
cut
the
down. They're
story.
trying to sign him to the practice squad,
Yep.
and we intervene, and he.
I am literally in Jim Zorn's office, the next to go in and sign a deal. So I get a call from a 504 number. It comes up in New Orleans, like, who the hell is this? I get my phone, and I'm literally the next person to go in line to sign the practice squad deal. I get on my phone. He's like, hey. I'm like, hello? He's like, this is Sean Payton. It's like, oh, hey. He's like, walk out of the office. Because you knew you'd been talking to my guy. He said, walk out of the
gonna
office.
get this done.
I go, Coach, are you sure?
100%.
Yeah, because
Are you sure?
that's a hard
Because-
spot to be in. You have a contract
Yeah.
in front of you. You're in.
We got you.
Yeah, we got you. And so I walk out of the office into a building. He's like, get an Uber. I'm like, what? I swear to this.
Yes.
This conversation lasted 30 seconds. He goes, listen, we're going to sign you to.
Don't hang up. Stay on the phone with me.
Yeah, he said, we're
I'll
gonna
guide you
sign
through
you
this.
to practice squad for the first 2. You said it exactly, Coach. We're going to sign you to practice squad for the first 2 games, and then you will be on active roster. I promise you.
And-
Super Bowl later.
And he stuck with his word on it.
5 years later
Yeah.
with him. He stuck to his word to a T. I am
love
in
that.
Zorn's office.
I love that.
Yeah.
What a great story. And Chase and I were both saying, like, we both obviously have known you for such a long time, but just watching you on the sidelines and just hearing the buzz around your practice, Coach, I don't remember the last time you've seen this happy.
Well, I'm never happy.
True.
I would say it's much different this year. It's a young team, but I mean the competition and the way practice is going is entirely different than a year ago. And it's not any one player from a year ago. It's just a series of transactions that are moving you in a direction you want to get to. And then this draft class, we're going to remember, like, this class has a chance to be really good.
Yeah.
And I could go through every one of them. Obviously, it'll be measured by Bo Nix first, but these other guys, Ellis and Estime, Bailey, Franklin, I mean, Abrams, Drain. There's so many guys that have come in right away, and like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, you root for them, but you can't. You got to really go by what you see, and they're impressive.
Specifically going into year 2, how are you molding this team? Like, I was in the meeting room last night with you, and that was awesome. Thank you for letting me come in. But I missed it, man. The vigor, the energy, the passion you're speaking to this team. You got something so special.
Yeah.
What are you doing to put your stamp on this team?
I think each night it's different. So there's an educational point to the meeting. Let's study these situations now and really, practice them, and then repeat the video and show the examples, and then just talk about goals and outside expectations versus inside expectations. And I think that when I say they're believing and they're working and they're wanting to please and then we're real with looking at the work and then being honest with our coaching.
Yeah.
So take us into the Bo Nix thing. I am fascinated by.
I brought my quarterback for because I know if
is
I
this
ask you.
Is this podcast going right now? Or is this,
yes, we've been going the whole time.
Okay, I want to tell you about my first podcast. That's why.
Oh no!
All right,
Okay.
We don't want to hear it.
No, I was
wanna
on
hear
the
it, I wanna
telephone.
hear it.
I'm not even going to tell you about it. I started having this conversation with this guy, and I didn't know what a podcast was. And then I'm like, I wonder when we're going to get around to start the podcast. He's like, we're winding down. I'm like, and I had gone. I'm like, I'm trying to go back and think of what I needed to edit.
Yeah.
No, I think when the off season hit and we saw the draft class, there's a process relative to all the positions, but certainly attention to the quarterback position. And so, all of these guys really, not as much Caleb, because I think there was that understanding where he was going.
Yeah.
But the rest of this class was the pro days, the visits here, the combine, and then the private workout. At 5 p.m. we send the fax or the email, excuse me. And we send more than we think they're going to be able to digest because we're going to be in their school at 9 a.m. So it's always a 5 p.m. email out. We're at the school beginning at 9. And just how do they do with that?
Yeah.
And so specifically to Bo, I'd never been to Oregon. We fly up there and, he's kind of ready. He's in the meeting room and I'll bet there's 6 of us in the room. But, Joe or somebody's conducting the interview relative to, hey, draw up. We sent you this, take me through this, and you're looking for recall, and he's doing great. He's doing really good, and it's going to be 2 hours, and we're probably at the hour 40 mark, and I'm like, all right, I've seen enough.
I'm good.
Then I'm like, hey, what's in your backpack? And he had a backpack. I just wanted, and he, one pair of turf shoes, and then he had grass shoes, and then he had a lacrosse ball for recovery. And then everything he pulled out of there was football related. And I'm just waiting for like a candy bar, some chewing, like one vice.
A vice.
And then it's like, and everything came out and it was like, I looked down, I'm like, all right, let's go throw.
Yeah.
So he threw about, I'd say 80 balls that day. What was impressive, the pro day was Friday. This was the next morning. And there's Troy Franklin and there's the running back and then there's his offensive lineman. This is Bo's pro day with just one team. Excuse me, this is his individual workout.
This is his private workout with the
Pro
Denver
day was the
Broncos.
day before.
Okay.
And here are all these teammates at his private workout with one team. So you're observing all of this, and then I go over and meet, the center was in this year's draft, and he's like, how's he doing? They're all asking, and now we drafted Alex Forsythe a year ago, who was his center.
Yep.
So Alex gave us great insight. He's like, man, this guy's super with protections, real smart.
Specifically when it comes to your scheme, though, like I was in it for 7 years, 2 with Lombardi in LA, 5 with you. You've never had a rookie quarterback.
I haven't.
What quarterback traits specifically
So
do you
I'm going
guys
to give
look
them
for?
to you. Before, the workout was fantastic. So arguably one of the more accurate college players in history, 78% last year. He is statistically. And, we're lucky enough to have a real good analytics department, and so the first thing we wanted to do was eliminate all the bubbles, the smokes. Everyone bangs him for the underneath throws. That's his offense to some degree. It's not like he can't control that.
Yeah.
But we eliminated those throws with every quarterback in the class. So those are off, and then third down, he's first in the class. Red zone, first in the class. 2-minute end to half, first in the class. 2-minute crunch time, first in the class. Minus play differential. So 2 years at Oregon, 0 fumbles. He's got a 10 3/8 stand. Sack differential, he's best in the class. I'd say the single most important trait, besides his processing, which is always hard to really measure, I'd say is his ability to throw from a dirty pocket. There's just a little bit of penetration, and he can kind of take that quick step and be right on point. And we kept the new thing to do nowadays on these private workouts. These coaches have these guys running here and then throwing here, and it's like, what are you doing? They're all trying to do the Mahomes throw. But I want to see what happens in a game, and when you watch his off-schedule throws in a game, it's remarkable. It's noticeable. Something happened with him I've never seen on film before. It's a third down play, and the tackles are rushing up the field, and the guard's blocking the 3 technique, and he slips between the guard, between the guard and the 3 technique, and then climbs and throws it to a tight end, and I replayed it. I said, I've never seen this before. So he's very comfortable off schedule, and I would say he is fast. I asked him the other day, we were talking about this, I said, why didn't you shuttle or run a 40 or any of that? Those would have been assets for you. He said, I had a toe injury, and I didn't know that I was 100%. Now that makes sense, because it's something he does well, and yet there was no shuttle, there was no 40, and he had a toe irritated.
But my question about this, and I think a lot of people are wondering, right? So here we are watching practice, and Chase is talking through your offense with me, and we're watching his throws, and he looks like a vet. He looks like a 5-year veteran out there, the way he's able to comprehend, understand, and run it. But it just seemed around the draft, nobody had their eye on Bo the way you did.
Well, I know this. There were a few other teams that saw it the same way. And the one comment I made to George after he finished throwing that day, and we came back, we watched all of Oregon, all of Auburn, went back to Oregon, we stopped the tape, and I said, George, I'm just going to say this, we're not the only ones seeing it this way.
Exactly. Well, of course not.
We're not the only ones seeing it this way.
But you have to figure other people are
And so
seeing.
I'm not worried about where. Let's not get cute in this process. And you try to simulate what you think's going to happen. We felt the Giants were going to be an at-large team, not necessarily for Bo, but for quarterback. Are they taking one or not? And then they didn't. And so pretty soon there's 3 teams with a need: the Vikings, Broncos, and the Raiders. And then Atlanta, out of nowhere, no one saw that. And now there's still 3 teams, 2 quarterbacks.
Did you feel comfortable at that time?
Well, not as comfortable as I did before their pick. And so Minnesota's right ahead of us, the Raiders behind us. Minnesota goes up 1, and then they draft JJ. And now there's 1, and the Jets are still on the clock. And I said to George, call the Jets. Just call them. We don't want to move up unnecessarily a pick or 2.
But you don't want another team to jump.
I don't want
them
anyone
doing a deal
because
with
you
someone
had-
else.
I don't want anything happening like Kansas
The
City.
Mahomes.
You can't have
Anybody
that.
can come.
And
so we stayed on and then I think the Jets said to George, you called us, what do you want? He goes, no, I just was checking in. So our concern right behind us were the Raiders, and then it was like, well, call the Raiders and tell them we might want to move back to see if, so there was this, they didn't want to move up, and then there's that, minute you wait and then we'll stay put, and the Jets make their pick, and then here we are.
What was the reaction like in the draft room?
It was outstanding. It was outstanding. It was.
Did you see it? It was amazing. They were cheering. Somebody in the building told me though, because this thing was kept under wraps. Like I'm telling you, as somebody who was digging
when did you know? But when did you know it was the guy that you wanted, no matter what?
The individual workout after the meeting, we went onto the field, and about throw 16, I just said to George, "This is the guy."
So you knew it, and he didn't.
I'd already seen all the tape. Throw
and
16.
You were willing to trade up for him.
Why 16?
I saw enough.
You saw enough. 16 was enough for you to go.
Okay,
so here are the things that you got to tune out. He doesn't have his arm strength's outstanding. He's 6'2.5", 220 pounds, And there, you do a lot of other digging. You call up, places he's worked. Phillip Rivers had a chance to work with him. Call up Phillip, and he's like, Coach, this guy can spin it. And the location, if you looked at his pro day location, we charted 82 throws, 81 were exactly on the right shoulder. He had one that was a little super accurate. And it was about halfway through our individual workout where I'm like,
so it was 16 throws. Okay, he's had way more than 16 throws out here.
Yeah.
Are you ready to name him the starter?
Yeah.
And why haven't you?
Listen, well, we haven't because there's a process that we started out at the very beginning. We said, hey, there's no reason to.
Yep.
All right, let's make sure he's getting his work, and let's make sure Stiddy's getting his work. This frickin' Zach Wilson now, the last week and a half.
That's great.
I grabbed him and I said, look, I just want you to focus on having fun and playing. My job is to make you millions either with us or for another team.
Wow.
His last 2 weeks have been outstanding.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see the film because when you're out here at this type of practice, you're kind of like
He's
you're one of the
coach.
principals.
Yes.
So I'm not seeing I'm looking at Lombardi like, take a shot, will you get the ball down the field? I'm always pissed at whoever's calling plays if I'm not. It's just hard. But I think that, I love the room right now. And I think Davis Webb, who's a young superstar in the waiting, I mean, he provides a little bit of that. I mean, it's not often you get a player that goes right from playing into coaching and then has a text saying, hey, would you consider coming?
That's wild.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
He's got every game plan from his high school to college. I'll pull up some play and in about 8 minutes he'll have it on video. I'm like, where'd you get that? He goes, this was his dad is a coach.
Yeah.
But Davis has done a good job with that room. And to your question though, I think we felt everyone has an opinion on how they want to do that. Chicago certainly named Caleb the starter in the spring.
Yeah.
They didn't play him in the first preseason game. I think we're going to get closer to an answer probably next week.
Yeah, that's great, and it all signs.
Parcells
show.
would tell me, "What are you in a hurry?"
I am very. I believe that very much.
Are you in a hurry?
Well, here's a question too, and I heard you guys talking about it. He hasn't heard you. Bo Nix has not heard you on the headset.
He's getting ready to.
He hasn't heard you.
Yeah.
What are you expecting him
I
to
told
do?
him,
Because he's very calm.
I just said,
you're not calm on the headset.
I said, sit back. I said, sit back and enjoy the flight.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. I wish I was.
No, but I'm glad you're
mic'd
bringing
up
that
for
up because something.
That's a great point.
No,
because Joe called the
You haven't
plays
been on
last
it.
week.
I saw Joe calling the
Joe
plays
was
today.
in his ear. All right, and so it's going to be important. I'm in his ear.
Yeah.
All right, and Joe does a great job. And yet, when you're in game and there'll be a call made, and I'll be like, I hate that call.
Yeah.
But you have to let that go when someone else is doing it. You just have to let them focus. So I'm anxious to.
Well, there's just different steps in rookie quarterback's development.
I'll
having Sean
I'll
Payton
probably
on the
repeat
mic.
the play real quick.
Yeah.
But you say to me all the time, every time Chase and I get into quarterback play calling, he always references you and
It's
explains how
unbelievable.
complicated it is. So how are you going to help a rookie? Because you can't
I would say here's the one thing we've done. Andy's done it too. I hear a couple of his calls. I'm like, so we'll come up with like beef jerky, or we'll come up with like Seahawk, or we've all begun to say, hey,
Spontaneous.
let's come up with a term and let everyone understand what they got to do. And if there's a receiver maybe that needs the tag, then we'll do that to help him.
Tag it well.
So trying to untag some of these and just give it cleanly, and it would be, even if Bo wasn't here and it was someone else, it's just moving a little bit in the direction. There's probably 20 calls that we could call that they go right to the ball and run. 3x1, 2x2 or empty, and be able to do it. And it just, you become a little bit more efficient.
And will you continue to add as the season progresses, if Bo is named the starter, to add stuff that he did at Oregon that he feels comfortable? Or are you dead set
2 weeks
on
ago?
what works?
No, 2 weeks ago we moved. Our 06-07 offense was so different than when you came, and then it was different in 18. I asked Davis in front of him, I said, I want these three guys to give you their favorite play. And I don't want it right away. I want you to think about it. And then finally Nix gives him one, Stiddy gives him one, Zach gives him one. All three are in. We're run today.
Flutie Sting?
And no, we already have Flutie Sting.
Oh,
right?
okay. What did you have to run?
I wanted
That's my favorite play.
a different little play that they like, and explain it. And then I'm constantly kind of like keeping track of whose play's doing better. Right?
Yeah.
And I think the number one job we have is to move in the direction of where our skill set is.
Yeah.
And when Sproles came, and he provided some, Jimmy Graham, and so we weren't locked into the 07 or 8, and then by the time we're 18, 19, it just evolves.
Yep.
And then, but I do think there is that starting point.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, you go to advanced.
Too much.
Yeah, let's, and even with the cadence, you know, I said to him, this is Bo, and I said, just give me a standard count, give me one that fools them, give me a quick count, and then a yellow, you know.
Yeah, because he didn't call cadence in college.
Yeah, but like the huddle's an adventure.
Even that's a challenge.
Yeah. I saw you pulling out of the huddle today.
Hear me out. This is our sideline. We're going left to right. Where's the quarterback in the huddle? He's on the right side of the huddle, so he can turn and look at me. All right, we're going right to left now. He's on the left part of the huddle. He's always been on one side of the huddle. He said, do you mind if I go to the other side of the huddle today? I said, I don't have a problem with that. Just go over there.
Yeah.
He'd never done that before.
Oh my gosh.
That's great.
I said, I want your eyes, though, so you're always going to be near me.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. So our podcast is called Scoop City, as you know. So
I like it.
Our last question's always.
You're stealing my T-shirt.
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
gave me.
Let's go.
That's our gift.
That's all yours.
Scoop
It's gonna look
City.
great on
I know
you.
both these guys very well. I
Yes.
consider them friends. They're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Chase does a great job with the quarterback work. I love it. I love that you
So what's
guys.
the scoop, though? We need the scoop on the Denver Broncos. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be breaking news. I
young
mean, we
and
know
hung-
the breaking
young
news.
and hungry.
Young and hungry.
Young and hungry, and I would say a couple things. We brought in a handful of defensive linemen to help our front. I don't know. You probably didn't overlap with the tackle from New Orleans that we brought in. John Franklin Myers,
Yep.
Malcolm Roach, a few of these veteran players. I think we have to be better against. I know we have to be better against the run, and I'm pleased with how that front is playing.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, let's get back to the quarterback. The two greatest allies for good quarterback play are a good defense and a running game. If you're struggling defensively and giving up points, it becomes harder on the quarterback. He has to match those scores. And then if you're struggling to run the ball, then pretty soon he's on the high dive the whole game. And I think even the greatest at that position, it's important that they have some snaps where they're just jumping in the water from the side of the pool. And so how do we, from a scheme standpoint, match what they do?
Yeah.
Every Monday, for instance, the weekend's over with. After our team leaves, the first film I'll watch will be that weekend's touchdowns. And it'll start on the 1 yard line. And there's 50 to 60 plays, and I always get to see who had the longest touchdown of the week. It ends over here somewhere.
Yeah.
But with each one of those plays, you would say play or player. You know, a receiver goes up, makes a great play on top of a corner's head, or quarterback scrambles, throws one, and those would be player. And then all of a sudden you see this concept where a receiver comes open, and then you'd say play. And so we'll try to mark those unique schemes that may fit or may not fit.
Yeah.
And so when that finishes on Monday, I've kind of got a hot folder of 14 touchdown thoughts. It's just touchdown thoughts from the weekend that would be more scheme driven than player driven.
Yeah.
Before you go, the kicks, Coach. You're
All
the
right.
only coach with a Jordan Brand deal. You got the concretes on today. Those are
Spike Lee.
How did you get this deal?
Give us your business.
The Super Bowl was in Miami, and I think it's 2018 or 19, and I had
right before COVID.
Yeah,
It was the COVID Super Bowl.
Yeah,
COVID.
this was prior to the COVID Super Bowl, and I had an email about this new golf course that Michael Jordan was opening, Grove 23.
Yep.
And it was an invite to come look as a potential candidate. And that sounded great. You know, it's in Jupiter.
Yeah.
And so, you know, maybe I can get there 3 or 4 times a year, but like I'm from Chicago and I had never met him.
Yep.
So, and we're in Florida already. And so my wife and I went up. The clubhouse was going to open that Sunday. They were in a trailer and we got a good tour from Ken Wyhan. Ken's the president. He runs the whole operation. He does a great job and he's a good friend. And my wife nudged me at one point and she said, "Are we interviewing him or is he interviewing us?" And it was a fair question. I said, "Ken, I said, are you interviewing us or are we interviewing you? He said, no, you have a membership. We're just showing you around.
Oh,
and we pull in. Michael was playing with a large group,
Yep.
and he was finishing up. He had played 36, and he had just come in and met us. We sat and talked. We talked tequila. He had just kind of started a branded tequila. And then he said, I know you wear the Jordan 11 golds. He goes, I'm going to make you my first Jordan brand coach. And I was like, that sounds good. And so that was fine. And then we got our membership. We're fired up. Yeah. And 3 weeks later, like 15 boxes came of just different
God.
Jordan shoes.
So we followed through with it.
When I say, now the only good thing is my son is a 13 as well. So
great.
Connor is the benefactor, and here he is at TCU. So the shoes come in, the clothes comes in. I don't ever take it for granted. I'm real appreciative.
Awesome.
And there's players, the rule is if I gift you one of those, you can't sell them, obviously.
Yeah,
but everyone, I could tell you right now, everyone who's a 13 in the locker room, and they're always waiting for the next.
Coach, I'm a 13.
Cortland Sutton's a
saying.
13. Are you 13?
13.
I'll send you some.
All right.
What's your color?
All right. I like red, blue.
Yeah.
Women's 9.
Yeah, it's a little harder.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys.
Good luck.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you, Coach.
You guys are doing a great job. You're killing it.
There's
fun.
tons of juice here, and this is
Absolutely.
awesome. It's contagious. So thanks for joining us.
And you're at the other ends of the country, so
Yeah.
it works.
It was like meet in the middle.
Well, this isn't really the middle.
Yeah, it's short for me.
Yeah,
I
nice
like it.
4-hour flight for me. An hour.
Congrats.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
All right, back here on Scoop City, we are bringing back this segment in my mentions because no matter how much news is going on, how much news we're breaking, I am constantly reminded, Chase, of my nightmare story with a part of my take producer, Max, who drank 2 sodas and ate a burrito before our flight to Las Vegas. And it was just
a burrito.
It was a horrible, horrible experience. I didn't know it was Max, somebody that I maybe should have known because I listened to their show. And the entire time on the flight, I was so uncomfortable with just how gross the experience was. He was passing gas and just the whole thing it was a 4.5-hour flight and I couldn't wait to get off. And since then, Max and I have just talked about it and he didn't know it was me. I didn't know it was him. But
did he admit to it?
Oh, yeah. He was well aware what he did. He knows what happened. But he was asleep when most of the gas was happening.
Interesting. Just leaking out, huh? Nowhere for the passing gas to go. It just stays it just recirculated air.
It's so gross. So I was out in Colorado, touched down, and this trip was really big for us because we were going to be together and we had these great interviews lined up with Jordan Love and Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos organization was rolling out the red carpet for us, and we're so grateful for that. But
yeah, they're great.
I don't know what's going on lately with me, but it's like my head is in one state and my body's in the other. Like nothing is connected, nothing's making sense, and so I'm waiting for you to land. And our crew is ready to shoot our podcast together, and we have a great crew, all communicating really well. Here's what we're doing. We're setting up in this room, and I'm walking around the hotel going, "Where is this room? I don't know what anyone's talking about. I don't see this guy. I don't see anything. I just see this lobby with a bunch of business people." So I immediately just think it's everyone else's fault. So I just start shooting out text to our producer Marissa and Michael. I'm like, I'm standing here. Where is everybody? Well, I'm 45 minutes away. I'm at the
Full
wrong
diva
hotel.
mode. No, you're
diva
not.
Wrong hotel. Wrong. I never even told you this.
Wait, but how? But okay.
I
how?
picked because I'm a dum-dum. And when I made the reservation, I was also texting with you. And I wanted to make sure that we were staying at the same place. But for some reason, when I put it in the Uber, I just copy-pasted from our text exchange, and it just was not the right hotel. Maybe I had sent you options, and it sent me to the wrong hotel.
You sent me one hotel. You did not send me options.
I don't know what happened. Either way.
Wait, so you literally were 45 minutes away from the hotel? Because you got in super early, and we had a whole crew. It was awesome. They were great, show up. But I didn't land until 3:45 Mountain Time. Denver Airport is the absolute worst airport
Here we go.
in the entire world.
Why?
Don't even think it's not.
Why do you hate it
is
so much?
Awful. Why do I hate it? First of all, it's really freaking creepy. Second of all, it takes forever to walk anywhere Third of all, it's impossible to get an Uber. Fourth of all, if you try to rent a car, the rental car place is 45 minutes away. You have to wait forever. It is awful. The security that we went through on the way back was on the opposite side of the airport of where we need to go. Then you got to get in these stupid trains to go somewhere. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, you do not like that place.
It's awful.
Was with you, obviously, when we went, after our interviews, we went to the airport together, and you were just tense the whole time. You did not want to be there. I don't think you wanted to be there with me. I didn't want to be there with you because I realized in that moment, we travel very differently. So because I was with you and I spent so much time with you through text messaging and the show, you've kind of become a little bit of a work husband, right? Whether I like it or not. So when we arrive to the airport, I'm just assuming you go in husband mode, which is get out of the Uber, get my suitcase out, make sure I have my purse. Oh no, I get out of the Uber. You're 40 feet in front of me. You're already walking. You don't even wait for me. You don't open the door for me. I was definitely not in the space of wife, family member, important person at all.
Well,
and I'm waiting for you to tell me where my gate is and my husband takes control. My brain just leaves my body when I go to the airport. He just runs the show. So I was waiting for you.
You're a travel princess.
I am a travel princess, and I was waiting for my travel prince to step in, and he was not there. I had a frog.
Hold up, just frog. Okay. First of all, I do all the booking of travel in my family. I have everyone's TSA pre-check. I have everyone's Southwest Rapid Rewards. I do all the booking of hotels. I do all the booking of cars. My wife is an absolute travel princess, and she loves it because she handles like literally everything else in my life. And she's amazing. So when I go on a work trip with somebody else, I expect them to fully handle their business by themselves. And so I'm handling my own, I'm handling my own because I'm so used to handling 4 other people, including 3 kids. So I'm just, she's a big girl, she can handle it. And obviously you couldn't.
I wanted a little help. And you do not operate independently as if no one else is constantly reminding you of things, sending you things. I picked your damn hotel. So I just thought, I realize now when we go on our next
trip. You could have picked a better hotel.
See, I knew you were going to complain about something.
It smelled like smoke.
Moving forward, I think we just need to get on the same page of how we're going to travel together.
Yeah, I think you need to handle
Are we
your
friends?
business by yourself.
Are we partners? Or are we just going to attack this as just separate business individuals who are operating, we just happen to be in the same space.
Operating individuals in different spaces.
Fine. I will keep that in mind the next time you reach out to me and ask me, what flight should we take? Who are we meeting with?
I did not
Who did you
ask for a
book?
flight. I didn't ask for a flight.
Anyone who's listening to this, I hope can connect and understand and relate to what it's like to travel with someone that isn't your spouse. I think most of the people listening will probably side with you on this and say, yeah, you should take care of your own stuff. But it just would have been nice if you held the door.
People are definitely going to side with me.
Hold my book bag.
Nope. You had a bunch of stuff too, by the way, for a 36-hour trip.
And you didn't even think to grab it for me. Maybe hold my phone
4
charger.
bags. I'm like, what are you doing? Phone cords everywhere, phone charger. I'm like, what in the...
All right, that'll do it for us here on Scoop City. We've got Jordan Love next episode. Oh my goodness, was this guy impressive? Not just on the field, but we spoke to him about this offense, what he's focused on, how he's growing, who his number 1 receiver is. Ooh, we got the scoop. We got the scoop. We will see you guys next time.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.